Hey guys, so with the Tuesday stock market session about to open in the US, I thought I'd make a really quick update video on Bitcoin and the stock market. You can see the monthly time frame, not much has changed. Weekly time frame, pretty much nothing has changed. Please note that this week is so far a inside week. So I am watching, if we do get a move up, that would be 7 weeks up, and I would be watching for a much larger reversal. Whilst if this week does end up being a inside week, I would expect a bit more selling pressure over the next few weeks potentially. On the daily time frame, you can see we ended up closing yesterday's candle, whoops, not that, on the BX trender with a lower high, and today's candle is currently lower low, dark red. We printed two inside bars so far, lower highs and higher lows. So the jury is still out as to which way the market is going to go. We're still holding this blue line, which I drew off of the capitulation low on the 22nd of November. And yeah, not much to say. We've made a lower high in price action, and the stochastic RSI has also made a lower high, so we're not seeing any divergences there. The daily trend is still up on the 1 day 1 bar and 2 bar, so that is to be respected. On the 4-hour time frame, we are still holding that lower trend line formed from the consolidation just before we push to the current high. And I was originally watching for a fourth time breakdown of that trend line, and if you remember me saying, a failed signal right here is a signal in itself, and price snapped, reversed, and moved upwards another few $1,000s. However, right now, we are in the weak half of this 50% level of the current consolidation range, and we are underneath this lower trend line, which was formed from the 67K breakout zone, drawn from the actual low to the second higher low on the weeking basis, and the first higher low on a closing basis. So quite a important trend line right there. Was it? Yes. Yeah, I'm getting a bit confused. Too many lines on my chart. But yeah, price is underneath that trend line and the 50% level. And I do believe if we rally into the 50% level off the back of the CPI data, yes, CPI data being a little bit positive as it just came out a few minutes ago, then that could potentially set us up for another leg down in either A, B, C corrective pattern, and we would expect higher prices, or if that ends up being a 5-wave impulse to the downside, if you've been watching more crypto online, if we start to see a 5-wave impulse to the downside, then that could be the start of something much bigger, which I've been talking about on both the daily and weekly timeframes, a larger correction into the either low 70,000 or the high $60,000 range. So for now, it is obviously just a waiting game, but if you remember from my video yesterday, these volatile bars are typically signs of distribution, not accumulation, as Michael always says. Also, we had a higher volume bar right here on a smaller range bar than the one before it, and also into a lower high than the one before that. So if you were awake, I was not, at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, or pretty much right as the US stock market closed on Monday, that would have been a beautiful short right there from the bar open, really, from 81.9 to anywhere in the under 81k region. So if you took profit on this fib level at 80,700, that would have been a nice, $1,100-ish, $1,200 move per Bitcoin. So that is how we can trade off of signal bars, just a bit of an idea there. But for now, if we get a 4-hour lower swing high under that 50% level, and we break this lower trend line, a much shorter term trend line than this one and this one up here, then I would definitely be looking towards firstly 79k and then towards that 77k region and potentially even lower. Speaking of lower price targets, that -2 standard deviation band on the 4-hour time frame typically serves as some major resistance in terms of a capitulation. Major support. So if we do get some flash crash news out of Iran or whatever, I would expect around 73 to 74k to serve as a major bounce zone. It doesn't have to mean the final low is going to be there, but if we do crash there, which is still a 10% sell-off, I would expect at least some support to come in. USDT dominance, we still have not gotten a closed daily candle that will validate this bullish divergence yet, but obviously I am still watching for it. The DXY looks like it is recovering a little bit on the weekly time frame. On the daily time frame, we're still underneath the 1-day fair value band, so it does have a little bit of work to do before it can move itself into a position of strength. But the S&P 500 is still rejecting off 7,400 points, which if you've been watching Jason's YouTube videos, you'll know is a major level of resistance that has to be overcome. Now, obviously, we do have some high-ish impact announcements upcoming in the next 2 days that could either be the catalyst to set Bitcoin up for another leg higher, or potentially this first leg down where we start to break down from this bear flag. So obviously watch the economic data and the news, social medias, whatever closely, and manage your trades accordingly. The long-short ratio is slightly biased towards the short side. 24-hour liquidation numbers are nothing to write home about. Obviously, we did get some slight pickups in the last few sessions. Hello there, 7-day liquidation. Yes, how do I read this chart? Over here. Yes, so we did get some slightly bigger liquidation numbers, but towards the short side as price pumped a bit into that 10th of May lower high, but there isn't really anything to write home about. Like, obviously, Bitcoin goes up, shorts get liquidated, but the liquidation numbers at 240 million to the short side isn't quite what I want to be seeing to mark major tops. Like, you can see that 6th of May top right here, the current top for this range, we got consecutive days of $300-ish million of short liquidations. If we have a quick look at the max pain level, you can see, again, not much has changed from yesterday. If we have a quick look at the liquidation map, you can see it is pretty even on both sides. Obviously, price has been moving up, so there is a decent amount of liquidity to the downside. I'm not ruling out a sweep of the highs, potentially, like I talked about in, I think my last video, or maybe the one before it, where a distribution zone, we can still get a move just above the previous highs before it rolls over, tag out all the stops on shorts, get everyone to FOMO back in long, those people that are breakout trading. So I'm not ruling out, a push to $83,000. That obviously can still happen for as long as price is above the 79 to 80k level. However, I do think the next major move is going to be down, and I expect support at around that 77 to 79k level, as well as around that 74-ish k level to the downside. That's pretty much it for today. I might take a quick look at the long-short ratio, where you can see retail is still bearish. Smart money on Binance is still bullish, but smart money on OKX is bearish and neutral on Bybit. It seems that the Bybit traders are a lot more neutral than the Binance and OKX ones. If we have a look at the Bitcoin sentiment chart, you can see it is a lot of indecision right now. So that is probably what's causing all these volatile bars. I obviously traded this volatility through here, but I sat out through this here as I needed a bit of a mental break. But yeah, not much to say. I'm watching for a 5-wave decline to the downside, or I'm watching for some closes and higher lows above 82.8, not just a quick wick up and a snapback below, as remember, a failed move up often equals a fast move down, which is kind of what we saw here on the 6th of May. We had a push up, but we closed back into the consolidation range. Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated, but for now, thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye.